So the Packers just brought in the right person for the job. I'm going to explain what I mean by that. But Ian Rappaport reported that the Packers hosted linebacker Isaiah Simmons. They brought him in, 26-year-old, a name that we're probably all familiar with. He was an absolute stud in college, played for Clemson. Says right here was the eighth pick overall by the Arizona Cardinals in 2019. I actually thought it was 2020. I don't know if that's a misprint, but Simmons signed a 4-year, $20.6 million contract with the Arizona Cardinals, wound up trading him to the New York Giants in exchange for a 2024 seventh round draft pick. Why the fall from being selected eighth overall in the first round to now your return on investment is just a seventh round draft pick? We're going to talk about that in a moment. So, why do I think that this would be a good signing for the Green Bay Packers, especially when you start talking about all of that? Okay, so when you take a look at just his college accolades, what he was able to do in college, this was his draft combine prospect profile coming out of college. He had a prospect grade of 7.03, production score of a 99, athleticism score of a 99, a total score of a 96. This dude is an absolute athletic freak. I think this would be a good signing for the Green Bay Packers, not just because of his college accolades, what he was able to do throughout his collegiate career, which, by the way, the 2 years at Clemson, he produced 28 and a half tackles for loss, 11 sacks, 4 interceptions, 20 pass breakups, 6 forced fumbles, while playing multiple spots on the defensive front and secondary for Clemson, which is exactly one of the reasons why I think this would be a very good signing for the Green Bay Packers. Coming out of college, he was one of the most athletically gifted prospects. When he was drafted, they were saying over the last decade, he played cornerback, linebacker, slot corner, edge rusher, safety, wherever they needed him on defense. That's exactly where he played, which is exactly what Brian Gutekunst looks for, whether it's filling holes offensively or defensively. Getting a guy like this under Jeff Hafley, now he hasn't translated into the NFL, and we're going to take a look at his NFL stats here in a moment. But getting a guy like this, maybe to rejuvenate his career under Jeff Hafley, because when you start surrounding him with players like Edgerrin Cooper, who, quite frankly, Edgerrin Cooper is having the career only, even though it was just his rookie season, of what Isaiah was projected or were supposed to have. He was an elite rare combination of size. He's 6'4", 238 pounds coming out of college. He had an arm length of a 33.38 strength and speed. That's what he had. He ran a 4.39 in the 40, which is absolutely ridiculous. Does everything well. He was a clean tackler, athletic and fluid in coverage, strong to the point of attack. Now, when we start talking about what he did in his NFL career so far, let's take a look at the stats right here. Again, drafted by the Arizona Cardinals in 2020, in the 2019 draft, 2020 slash 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble his rookie season. He had an interception. One of the things that I love about this is when you start pairing a guy like this, who again needs a rejuvenation of his career he's not going to be the stud coming out of college that everybody thought he was going to be, eighth selection overall, but he could be still very productive in the NFL given the right circumstance, given the right scenario and scene. Jeff Hafley preaches takeaways. That's exactly what he's done over his college collegiate career as well as the NFL. He has 5 interceptions total throughout his NFL career, which I think is a huge stat right there. He's got 9 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries. He's got 8.5 sacks. And when you start looking at his total tackles, his best year was his sophomore year with Arizona. He had 105 tackles, 70 of them solo, 1.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. He had an interception. He does have 2 touchdowns as well. It seems like when he's getting a pick, it's a pick six. But one of the major reasons why I think this would be a brilliant signing for the Green Bay Packers, and I want you guys to leave your comments and let me know your thoughts there, but one of the major reasons why I think this would be such a brilliant signing for Brian Gutekunst, the Green Bay Packers, is the fact that the Packers are coming off of an offseason where they lost some special teams guys like Corey Ballantyne, Robert Rochelle, Eric Wilson, my favorite special teams player, Eric Wilson. So we lose those guys. We got to make it up somehow. Isaiah Simmons is one of those guys that is an athletic freak, and he's been getting it done via special teams as well. He had a PFF score of an 88.2 on special teams. He rated the highest of all New York Giants out there. So I do think this would be a fantastic signing for the Packers. But when you take a look at his PFF scores, it's not the sexiest. Run defense score was up there a little bit, 61.5, pass rush grade of a 52.9. Again, this isn't that sexy signing where it's like, okay, our linebacker problems are solved, because I don't think Isaiah McDuffie is going to be the answer. But when you surround him with Quay Walker, an athletic freak, and then you've got somebody like Edrin Cooper, who think is going to have a phenomenal NFL career, and then you get an athletic guy in here like Isaiah Simmons, who can fit the bill as far as athleticism goes. However, he's going to need guys around him to make him better. And what better guys to do that athletically than a guy like Edrin Cooper or Jeff Hafley? I'm hoping to get the best out of him if Brian Gutekunst decides to bring him on. Now, they did bring him in yesterday. Again, Ian Rappaport reported that. Now, it remains to be seen whether or not the Packers bring him on board. I think it would be a home run, because the Packers are going to have to give up a lot of money for it. They probably are just going to give him a one-year deal for a veterans minimum, which is a very low risk for a high reward type caliber player like Simmons. I want you guys to leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Again, I think this would be a home run hit. Leave your comments. And as always, go Pack Go.